be showing you how to make the mask and the cameras. The mask will allow you to see through a little hole or two little holes in the middle of the mask while it slowly rotates around, so that's not just a still image. And then the cameras, we can open them up and everything in here will go away, and then we can see the actual cameras themselves. Let's get right into it. So the first thing we'll need to do is to go into our sprites by clicking See Inside, and then we'll need to go to a new sprite. We can call this the camera button because we'll be doing that first. So we can do when flag clicked, it will hide. Now before we go any further, let's go ahead and make the costume. The costume will be really simple. We can just make a blue interior, like that, with an outline of a darker blue. Now we can put this down about here, stretch that until it goes here. We can put that there, and then we can stretch that way until it gets just about the middle. Not the full middle, but about. Now I don't want it to be the full middle because we'll have a button there in case if you want to do an extra mechanic. So this, we'll just leave it like this for now, but in a future episode we'll polish everything up so that it looks like a decent game. Now, we need to get our X and Y block. So go to X, -135, Y, -155. You don't have to have these exact coordinates, but it should probably be somewhere in the corner over here. Now, we need to do it so that when I receive begin, it will show. And then, when it shows, it will be able to be clicked on. So, when when the sprite clicked, we can do an if-else statement. Similar to the door buttons, we can make an if-else statement with a variable in it. So we'll create a new variable, and we'll call this variable CamUp for all sprites. If CamUp, first get the equals, then get CamUp if CamUp equals down. If CamUp equals down, set CamUp to up. Else, set CamUp to down. And right now, we can go ahead and set CamUp to down. Now, what we can do, we can go to the office. Oh wait, we're not done yet. Sorry. In the camera button, what we can do is we can also broadcast. This, well, we don't really need this. Here. Okay, now let's go back up to the office. Sorry for going back and forth and back. What we can do is we can do when I receive begin, forever, and an if-else statement. If CamUp equals down, then, and we'll make a new variable. This will be another all sprites variable. We'll just call it a dot. So when we receive begin, we can set dot to 1, but then when flag clicked, set dot to 0. If the CamUp is down, and then if dot equals 1. So there's that, and then dot equals 1. We can change this to an if-else if you'd like, but you don't have to. I'll go ahead and do that just in case though. I'd prefer you use the if then else instead of just the if then, because then that will make sure that's doing the right thing at the right time. Now, if the camera is down and the dot equals 1, then it can show. And this would be really simple. So we can just show when the dot equals 1 and the cam up equals down. If it does not equal 1, then we can hide, and if the camera is up, then we can hide. So what this will do, we can hide these two variables, and then we can click go. And when we click the button, the office hides. Now that the office hides, but the buttons don't, we can go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and put this in all of these as well. Since all the variables are for all sprites, then we don't have to go in and manually change them. We can also go ahead and put these for the doors, because they will need to hide when the camera goes up if they are not closed. The doors will be slightly different. What we can do is move everything else here and move this into here. Forever, go to front layer. If cam up equals down, if that equals 1, if vent door open equals yes, well, we can set that to no, and then swap these around. So now, if it is closed, it will show, else it will be hidden, or if, hold on. Yeah, sorry. So this basically tells us if the vent door is open, then it will not. If the vent door is open, it will not show. If the game has begun, it will. Or no, if the game has not begun, it will not show. And if the camera is up, it will not show. Now, what we can do with this is, so we have this, what we can do is duplicate this to the other doors. So we can go here and go to the right door. So there's this original one over here, which we can go ahead and delete. And then we can also go ahead and delete that. And then change this vent door open to whatever the door name is. So this would be right door open. And then duplicate this to right door 2, aka left door. So we'll go ahead and rename that. So, now that we have that, we can delete that, and delete that, and then change this to left door open. So now we have the doors that should be correct and the buttons that should be correct. So let's go ahead and test. So let's close all 3 doors. Oh no, the camera needs to be going to the front layer as well. So we can show and then forever go to front layer. Uh-oh, I misclicked on something. Sorry about that. Anyways, now we have the forever go to front layer. So now it is on the front layer. So if we test this out, boom, they all disappear. Now we can go into the backdrops. So we can do when flag clicked, switch backdrop to backdrop 1, and we can paint this backdrop. We'll make this main backdrop a complete black. So we can just cover the entire thing like that. Now, when we start, it has a dark background instead of a light one. And then, when the office is hidden, it will create a dark background. But we'll need to change that so that we can actually see stuff on the cameras. We'll pause this for now and finish it in just a second, because I have to do something real quick. There we go. Okay. So, how we're going to make this change when the camera's up is as simple as a forever loop. Or no, sorry. We'll make it so that camera button, events, broadcast. So we can broadcast a new message, cam up. And then down here, broadcast cam down. Oh, cam down. Now, what we can do with this cam up and cam down is go into the backdrops, and then when I receive cam up, we can make a new backdrop. This can be whatever you want, but I'll just make it a slight reddish color. Just for now. Again, when we do the polishing episode, I'll make it more, well, polished. But for now, to not waste too much time, we'll just leave it as this red. So now, when I receive cam up, it'll switch backdrop to backdrop 2, and then when it receives cam down, switch backdrop to backdrop 1. So now, when you pull up the cameras, it goes to the red backdrop as opposed to this black backdrop. Now that we have the cameras pretty much functioning, we need one more thing with the cameras, and that's to actually switch between the cameras. There's two ways you can do this. A, if you want to create an entire map layout, then you can do that method where it has the mini map on the side, kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Or some fan games do it where you can use the arrow keys or A and D to switch between the cameras. I prefer the A and D because it keeps the place vague so that you can add more rooms later on if you'd like, instead of just being confined to the little area that you'll have in your minimap. So we can go ahead and add that. This one is a little bit harder than the other one, but it's a lot more free. We need to make a new variable, and this variable will automatically be available for all sprites, as this tells us. Right here. I don't know why it's not showing. Anyways, what we can go ahead and name it is called room hash. So, when I receive cam up, set room hash to 1, and then when I receive cam down, set room hash to none. Now, if we set room to none, or anything that has letters, so let's show the variable room, and then you try to change it by 1, it'll just go to 1. So, what we can do with that is we can make it so that when I receive cam up, repeat until equals cam up equals down. If key left arrow pressed, then change backdrop, oh, or no, this is fine. Change room by 1, and then wait until not key left arrow pressed. So now we have the key left arrow so that it'll change the room by 1. This should actually be right arrow, sorry. Then you can duplicate this to here and then put this underneath. If key left arrow pressed, change room by -1. And then at the bottom of this, switch backdrop inside of the repeat until, but outside of these two ifs, switch backdrop to room hash. Here it is. So now we can hide that room variable, and now if we just made a ton of backdrops that have different markings on it, then we'll be able to switch between these cameras when we actually get into the cameras. So we can't do it right now, but then once we have the cameras up, we can go ahead and switch them around. And then another thing we can do after this if loop, if, so this would go right about here. Put this outside. If backdrop, or no, sorry, room, or no, yeah, make it backdrop. If backdrop number equals 1, set room to 2. And then set the room to 2 here. So now it starts off in the red room, and if we tried to go to the dark room, we can't. It won't let us. So we can see these different stages of the red marks, but we can never see the black part. So now we have the functioning camera, all fine and dandy here. And we can still close these doors, and they'll continue being closed when the camera's up. Pretty neat. Now we can make the mask. Duplicate the camera button, mask button. Make sure you duplicate the camera button. Now look at the X position of this button and then do the opposite of that. So this one would be 135 and then Y 0. Sorry, Y negative 155. Oh, hold on. I just found a fatal flaw. It's not centered. They need to be centered. So we need to actually move this a bit closer to the middle. Okay, negative 130. And then this should be 130. Boom. So now we have these two buttons. To make the mask button different, we'll change it to an orangish color with a closer to reddish color on the outside. All we really have to change for this one is the X position, We'll also have to change that for the camera. And then instead of cam up, we'll make a new variable called mask up. So change that to mask up, that to mask up, and that to mask up. And also this up here. And then change the broadcasts to masks as well. So this would be mask up, mask down. Now this won't do anything right now, but what this should do is, another thing that we can do is to make it so that you can't wear the mask and the cameras at the same time. We'll change it so that you can only have one at a time. So when I receive mask up, hide, and then when I receive mask down, show. And then you can do the same thing to the mask button by dragging these codes in, but instead of doing mask, you do the camera. So mask down, mask up, cam up. So now when we use the cameras, that hides the mask button, and when we use the mask, that hides the camera button. So now what can we do to make the mask actually become a mask? Well, we can make a new sprite, and we'll call this the mask. Now this needs to take a little bit more than the entire screen. We'll make this a bit of a darker orange. So we'll go ahead and do that portion. Remember, it has to be filling the screen pretty much. And now we can copy, paste. Yeah. So you have to make sure it's all the way sealed, because the white box is not where it's going to be confined to. It will be, since it will be rotating around, it'll have to be a little bit bigger than the screen, and to make sure that we don't have any seams, we can just go ahead and make these squares as big as they can. So this over here is going to be the eye socket section, and then down here will be just pure nothingness. We can make this part a bit lower down by doing that. And then do that. We can also make it a bit wider. We'll go ahead and make it pretty much the screen wide. Just about. Yeah. Now we need to make sure that this comes out all the way. And then we also need to make sure that we put a little line in the middle to separate it. Make sure it's truly in the middle. And there we go. Now we have our mask design. Again, we can polish it later. So now we have our mask design, which is the most important part. Now we need to actually make the code. When flat clicked, hide. And then forever, if mask equals first, if mask up equals down, so the mask is not on, then it will hide. Otherwise, it will show, and it will first of all, we need it to set rotation style, don't rotate. And then need to turn 0.5 degrees, move 1 step. So now and we also need it to go to 0, 0. So we'll go ahead and put that in. 0, 0. So now we have our mask that slightly rotates. You can change these values like this. You can make a bit lower so that it's slower and more subtle. Or you can make it the fastest thing in the world and it'll go like that. I personally prefer 10 to 5 tenths because that's just my personal favorite, so that it's not too distracting to watch it move around. But that's a problem right there, and all we really need to do with that is make sure that this goes to the front layer. We'll need to reset. That's a problem. So the door is going in front of the mask. To solve this, we can make it so that the mask is in front of absolutely everything else. So that the mask will always be first. But as we can see, that's not working. So what we can do is, instead of making it the true front layer, we can also go backward 1 layer. So that can apply for the vent door, the right door, and the left door. So we'll put all of these in there. So now, if we use the mask and wear these, they're still on. This is the right door, so what we can do is we can keep on putting in numbers until it eventually goes behind the mask. Oh wait, this is the left door. Left door. First of all, let's do 10. And then it just goes behind the office. 9. 8. 8 is the perfect number. We'll go ahead and put these for these ones as well. So let's go ahead and see if they work. All of them appear to be going into the front layer. And they also all appear to go behind the mask. Correct? Yes. So now the mask covers the entire screen. That's it for this video. In the next video, I'll show you finally how to make the actual animatronics move around, and actual cameras instead of just these red tick marks. See you next time. Adios.